Hello and welcome! Tonight on the show, get dinner ready because Daddy is home. We have Daddy's favorite brown sauce with an extra special treat for you from across the pond. Thank you for joining us. We are so excited that you are here. This is Sauce Spoken.
And we're back. We are Sauce Spoken. We're the podcast detailing your favorite dips, condiments, and sauces. And tonight on the show, we're going to answer the age-old question, who is your daddy?
Well done.
I'll be your host tonight. My name's Adam. I'm joined here today with my co-host, Tori.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're tuning in from. Thank you. We're delighted to have you. And to my right, the man whose 5 o'clock shadow shows up at 3. My man and co-host, E.
At 3 with a wonderful fiery orange.
Yes.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
He's also getting up three for work for his exciting work week. It was a long week at work.
No. This week was actually quite relaxing. So, yeah, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be on the show, and it's a very special episode. So, Adam?
Yeah, it is a special episode because tonight we actually have a special guest joining us from America's Daddy, if you will. A guest joining us tonight from the United Kingdom. Allie, you want to say hi for our listeners?
Hello. I'm from Britain. How are you guys doing? Nice. Great to be joining you.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. You actually were on. Well, Tori was on an episode before of your show, A Spoken Mess, which is more of like an interview type show. Is that how you would describe that?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. It was a fun episode to record. I'm a very curious person, so I naturally just ask people questions. So it was great getting to know Tori. Found out about his radio background.
Yeah, same here. I had a blast. I had an absolute blast. Thanks for having me, and we're delighted to have you on the program.
Yeah, I think we all enjoyed listening to it. It was a pretty interesting, and I thought it was really neat, especially some of the times that there was some. I almost want to say not necessarily miscommunication, but there were times when some of the idiomatic expressions didn't quite translate very well. And I thought that was kind of funny because I know at one point, Tori, you made a comment like you said something to the effect of Eric knows enough to be dangerous or something like that. And yeah. I think our friend Allie here was a little concerned that Eric actually had some sort of terroristic intentions or something.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah, that's one of those. That's kind of the funny thing is that even though we're both speaking the same language, a lot of the idiomatic expressions and things like that don't have any direct translation. But in America, that's just a very off the cuff kind of way of saying, the expression is he knows enough to be dangerous, meaning he knows a little bit about it or a decent amount about something, but not like an expert level, and basically saying that he knows if you had another American thing, if you had a gun, you would know enough about a gun to be able to load it and shoot yourself in the foot with it. Not enough to be able to safely use it, maybe.
Right, okay.
That's an example.
Yeah, I was thinking of it more of a sort of a gangland sort of way, because we have roadmen, like the, come at me, bruv. Yes, you know too much. That sort of a thing. Like, if you know too much with the chavs,
I got you.
It's, things are dangerous.
Yeah, and that's another thing we don't have here. Or you say chavs or chavs? How do you pronounce that? I've seen that word before, and I know what you're referring to.
Chavs. Technically, it's not the right term for them. The right term is roadmen, but chavs stands for council, house, and violent.
Okay, very good. Are you guys familiar with that term?
No, it sounds like a Mad Max kind of reference.
I think it's kind of, I'm trying to think of a good American equivalent to that. I think it's just kind of like, well, okay, for example, those kids that, especially lately in America, we've had around a group of kids on like dirt bikes and ATVs just cruising up and down the street causing mischief and trouble.
Okay.
I think the idea is that they're basically just like, I think usually younger kids kind of like thuggish, just causing mischief and problems. Is that accurate?
Very much so, yeah. Quite often it's to do with drugs and money as well.
Okay,
oh,
yeah.
Wow.
We have similar we have similar problems here, but not we don't normally We don't call them that. That's a unique. We don't have council housing. I think that's kind of like apartment buildings, right? Is that how we would say that?
Yeah, it's housing provided by the council for people that cannot afford to buy their own places to live.
Okay.
Okay, we have with Section 8.
Yeah, we have
here.
It's called Section 8, but basically, yeah, it's just they provide a rent stipend for people that can't afford rent, and that has its own connotations here that are also very negative generally. So,
Right.
Absolutely.
sometimes fairly, sometimes unfairly, but
I can understand that.
so that is similar. No, that's cool. Yeah, so that's really exciting. I did want to give you a little bit of time to kind of tell the listeners about your show specifically, so they can check you out. They'll know what they'll be getting. Do you want to give us a little spiel on that?
Okay, I've never prepared a little speech to advertise my show, but
I know, and I put you right on the spot too.
that's okay. That's I suppose what my show is about. It's being put on the spot, and then in the moment, I try to keep. That was the original aim of my show, to keep the conversation going for an hour, a minimum of an hour, and then from there, I started to. I started with friends, and then from there I started to build up with people that have an expertise in a specific field. So I'll have actors, directors, stamp collectors.
Authors, right?
Yes, authors as well, yes. And source podcasters to join me for interviews. And
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Very good. Experts in their field, as we frequently claim to be.
Loosely.
Yeah.
So
Very
sort of.
loosely.
No, we try to kind of go a little bit the opposite direction, where we try not to. We try to keep it genuine here, so we'll share details on kind of like what we organically know about the sauces, and then sometimes we'll do a little bit of additional research, and we try to present that in a way that the listeners understand is not something coming from our knowledge banks. It's just something that we looked up to provide a little bit of more, a little bit of meat to the podcast, something to chew on. So
That's a good way of putting it.
but we all are frequent. We do like to eat. I will say that we are expert eaters, if nothing else.
Fantastic. Good hobby to have.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
We normally start the show off with a little bit of a roundtable discussion on what we did this week, and it hasn't been a full week since our last recording. But I know Eric and I got into a little bit of trouble last night. We went out to a couple of different bars and caused a little bit of a ruckus, as the lockdown restrictions are starting to loosen up a little bit. So we went to, why don't you give a little rundown there, Eric, of what we did last night?
Right, so we met up in a part of Pittsburgh called the Strip District, which I'm not entirely sure how the history of that came about, but they're known
strip
for
clubs are.
Yeah, really, there isn't any strip clubs anymore, at least not that I'm aware of.
There's one down there, isn't there? Isn't there cheerleaders down there?
Yeah, that's on the high end.
Yeah, okay,
40th
right,
Street.
right.
That's even still there.
If it's still there,
Yeah.
right, which I'm not even sure it is.
The
But
building
anyways,
is.
we went down to a new brewery that's been there for, I think, a couple of years now, called Cinderlands Brewery, and we started the evening off there with some amazing, interesting fusion food. They had all kinds of unique dishes, and then we went right around the corner to a distillery called Kingfly and continued our our prowl of destruction and chaos.
I was trying to set Eric up with some women. He's been having some difficulties in his dating life recently, so we went with my girlfriend, who was previously on the show, and one of our other friends, actually Colleen from episode 10.
That's right.
We all went out together, and we were leching on women, trying to set Eric up with some young ladies, and
that was mostly Adam's goal. I was just there for the spirits and the food and the, whatever. I went out there to...
You made a valiant attempt. You didn't have any success, but you put in the effort, which is the important part.
Is this the E's personal life section?
Yes. We always have to. I think that definitely the podcast does kind of secretly revolve around Eric's family and his life, because we do spend the most time, I think, talking about Eric and his family and what his, all his family members are doing. So
it's very surprising. I don't think I'm that interesting of a person, but apparently, maybe I'm wrong.
You'd be surprised.
Interesting to pick on, that's for sure.
Oh.
What about you, Tori? Would you get into anything since our last recording that you want to share?
Since Thursday. No. Glad the week's over. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Last night, I certainly didn't have anything nearly as exciting as you guys did. I watched game shows with my wife and my cat.
What'd you watch?
We're on this new one now, this Guys Grocery Games.
You were bored.
You ever
last
watch
night.
that program?
No.
I like that one. That one's good.
What was this on? What service?
Hulu.
On the Hulu?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I like that one. That one's a good one.
Cool.
But yeah, I watched a couple episodes of that, and fired up the old PlayStation. You know, pretty
Very cool.
boring, but cool.
Hey, I mean, that's, honestly, that's what I want to do most times. I'm feeling particularly social this weekend, which I'm not usually as much. But what about you, Allie? Did you get into anything wild and crazy on your Friday night last night?
My Friday night last night.
That you want to share on a podcast?
Oh, yeah. No, I went around my girlfriend's house, and then we were all sat in the lounge with her housemates and having a good old laugh. And there was a bit of a music competition with one side of the room playing, do you know Aphex Twin?
Oh, yeah.
That sort of music, but the really sort of, I suppose, disturbing side of Aphex Twin, where it's just high-pitched squealing and then like rumbling. And then the other side of the room was playing Cardi B. So it was a nice little battle between the two.
Oh, very nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to do a bonus episode of our podcast because, and I think we maybe did discuss this briefly, but Cardi B's, WAP, one of her new big hits.
Yeah.
There's a clean version of that song, which I don't know if you've heard, but the clean version is Wet and Gushy is what the acronym stands for. And I really wanted to make a sauce-based episode around Wet and Gushy, but Eric and Tori weren't going for it.
Absolutely not. No, dude.
Which to me, the clean version I think is almost grosser than the not the explicit version.
It's all wretched. There's
terrible,
nothing good
yeah.
about it.
Well, I think it's. I mean, I am probably the widest. I have the widest palette for music. I guess I'm willing to listen to pretty much anything. Far beyond what some of my compatriots here are willing to listen to. So.
Would you ever remake Wet and Gushy to be a Source song? You can say about how like the Source hits the little dingly dangly thing, as she says in the song.
Yeah, we would be. That'd be quite the stretch. But I'm sure. I don't know. I like to think I have a little bit of a creative. I know Tori does. He has a little bit of a creative side to him with that kind of thing. I'm sure we could, if I could get him to stand for it, we could probably whip something up.
Boy,
but
be a tough sell.
But
maybe,
no.
Maybe if we get like 1,000 listeners who demand it on this episode.
Oh,
we'll
God. Don't encourage people to do that. That's the last thing we need.
We'll have to do it as a bonus then by popular demand. We'll see.
Oh, I look forward to hearing it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, don't hold your breath.
I don't look forward to making it. How's that sound?
But no, after you had your interview with Tori, we started kicking around the idea of doing a little bit of a collaboration, and you were actually kind enough to send us several sauces from from the United Kingdom for us to taste, and we're doing several of those. We're going to do one of those tonight. I don't know if we want to. Do we want to spoil it for the listeners what the other ones are? Or are we going to save that? We'll save that, right?
We'll save it.
Well,
save.
We did have one casualty that I have to mention.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was kind of funny because we got your package, and I'm trying to think. You sent it to us, and I think maybe it took, I don't know, what do you think, 2 weeks, Eric?
Yeah, at least.
Maybe 2 weeks to arrive here. And you sent us, so like I said, maybe 4 or 5 sauces, and we're going to talk about the one we're doing tonight. But then another one that you had sent us was the Heinz sandwich spread.
Right.
I like the way the package arrived too, Allie.
Oh yeah, the package was securely taped.
Extremely securely taped.
Oh yes.
And
you're welcome.
Very well done. Yeah, very well.
And my first thought was, I got a Kickstarter arrived. Of course. I don't know if you've heard the podcast. May have mentioned that once or twice. And then I looked at the packaging job on it. And I said, "Oh, this isn't a Kickstarter. What is this? This looks like it looks like a bomb. Like
it did look like an IED or something like that. Like the military might have quarantined."
Right. Yeah. That's my other thought. Then once I realized it was from you, Allie, from the UK, I thought, well, maybe this is something the wonderful, United States Postal Service did, is where they had to inspect it, fully inspect it, opened up, and then they just repackaged the crap out of it. I don't know.
I think there may just be a bit of a room for improvement for my packaging skills.
No, the packaging, I think the packaging was solid. I mean, it arrived here, it was perfectly intact, right? There was padding and all that.
There was lots of padding. All the bottles survived, but there was a casualty. You want to go ahead and share, Adam?
Yeah, so we got the Heinz sandwich spread, and we were looking at the bottles, and that one was in a glass jar with kind of like a gold metal lid on it, and it had one of those seals on the top that said, if the button is up, you're not supposed to use it.
Right.
And we looked at it, and the button on top had popped up, and we opened it up, and the seal had broken, and we were very concerned that with something that seemed like a mayonnaise-based type sauce, we were concerned to have it been sitting out in a potentially uncooled or questionably temperature-controlled environment for 2 weeks. We weren't quite brave enough to test it in that state.
Was it? Ah, okay.
Yeah, as much as I like to kid around about liking aged sauces,
it's very, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't going to risk it either.
Yeah, I wouldn't risk that. I wouldn't risk that myself.
Yeah, I don't know if it got dented on the corner or something, or just getting jostled around enough managed to break that seal or something, but... And that was a question, that kind of brought up a question we have. We did look at it, and it was kind of greenish. Is it normally greenish when you buy it?
Was it fuzzy?
It wasn't fuzzy. It wasn't fuzzy. It looked and smelled edible. And actually, that was one that I thought sounded pretty good. Tori was turned off by the idea of it, I think.
Well, yeah. But there's a story to that. It makes sense.
Okay.
Well, at least to me.
I mean, I thought it looked good. I actually thought it looked and smelled really good, and I was half tempted to try it anyways, but I didn't want to get botulism or something else like that.
Reasonable. Yeah.
Because then we wouldn't be able to do this episode, so that would have been a bummer.
Right, yeah.
But,
yeah, if you had died, that's the end of the Soul Spoken, which would have been a tragedy.
I know.
From our own
Totally.
sauces. I did contemplate, even after we opened it, realized that it was, that the seal was not properly, intact. I did keep it in my fridge for another week, just in case we wanted to work up the nerve.
Yeah.
But
and I think actually Tori's first question when we opened it was, did Allie take this straight out of his fridge? Had he used this and sent it to us?
I'm actually wondering, because I bought 2 jars of it, and one of them I kept for myself.
Oh, that's
and
funny.
And then another one I kept on the side to post to you. And I wonder if the 2 got mixed up.
Oh,
It'd be a right shame.
Well, it was full. It didn't look like it had been anything had come out of it, so it definitely seemed full. But that is funny. Maybe that is what happened.
I'd be shocked. I'm so sorry if that was the case.
Oh, that's okay. No, it was still
funny.
It's still entertaining for us to talk about it. So that was the point of it, which
That's true.
we did get a kick out of that.
Beautiful.
Tori, what's your story? Do you want to enlighten us with your story on why you don't like that particular sauce?
Sandwich spread, I understand there is light years worth of difference between what came in that jar of sandwich spread and what is sold here in the States is what's called ham salad. And ham salad...
Have you ever had ham salad, Allie? Do you know what we're talking about?
I've never heard of a ham salad.
Okay.
Okay. It's, if you go to like a deli or something, they got these cylinders of meat, they put on these deli slicers, right? So what ham salad is the ends of those logs or cylinders of meat that they can't really get through the slicer, and then they grind the bejesus out of them little ends.
Right.
And they mix it with some relish, salt, pepper, what have you. And by the end of the process, you have a meat spread. It's everything that I like. I like relish. I like deli meats, this type of idea. But the thought of the process, I don't know. It grosses me out, and I equate that to that sandwich spread. Please don't take it personal, Allie. I mean nothing by it.
I don't blame you.
But
they look nothing alike.
Yeah, they look nothing alike. I understand. One comes in a jar, the other one comes from a deli. I mean, right. I get it. They're totally 2 different things, but the connection, I can't shake it.
Have you ever seen, Allie, the leaked picture from McDonald's of the pre-cooked chicken McNuggets that look kind of like strawberry ice cream? Have you ever seen that picture?
I have, yes. Yeah.
The ham salad looks exactly like that.
That's right.
That kind of like pink goo.
Yeah, I don't blame you for not.
Yeah.
For equating the 2. That sounds horrible.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I like it. I actually think it's quite good. But when I make it, I will not quite as finely grind the ham. I like to kind of just like finely chop ham so it's still roughly in its original shape. It is recognizable as ham, and I think it's quite good that way.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. I've never tried ham salad.
A lot of people like it.
I think it's pretty good. It is kind of a little bit of an acquired taste. I think most people here that like it kind of grew up having it as kids and normalized the idea. Yeah. It's a good like filler sandwich.
Right. Does it taste sort of manufactured with like extra bits added in?
Well, kind of. I mean, it tastes like anything that has mayo and it has relish in it, and I think that's kind of like you get a little bit of flavor or saltiness from the ham. If you make it yourself at home, I think it does taste perfectly fine. I mean, it's essentially the same thing as like tuna salad or chicken salad or egg salad. It's just that it's ham, which is not as commonly used here, so it weirds some people out, But I think if you had like egg salad and you didn't know what that was, I think that would weird a lot of people out too.
Man, now that you frame it like that, I'm far more open to try it because I love chicken salad.
Oh yeah, it's the same exact
potato salad
thing. Yeah. Really. I mean, it is basically literally the same thing as tuna salad, even roughly the same color. They just swap the protein.
Love tuna salad too, for that matter.
It sounds like it'd be a lot saltier though, because ham's just a lot more saltier.
It's really
than
not
tuna.
No, it's really not that salty. I mean, I don't think so. And
it's interesting. You said it looked like pink goo, but it does have. You're saying it is a mayonnaise based. So is it just because it's spread so? It's ground so finely, as you were saying, Tori, and then it just like homogenizes with the mayonnaise to create this pink color? Is that what you're... I mean, I've seen it. Yeah, exactly. So I've seen pictures of it.
I just pulled a picture up on the TV here, Allie, for Eric to take a look at.
Yeah, okay. I've definitely seen it in the delis, and my parents... Yeah, it looks like cat food. My parents would never eat it, so we never were subjected to it either.
You see this picture here that's a little bit like more coarsely chopped? Uh-huh. That's usually what mine ends up looking like, as opposed to this like off pink pate.
Yeah. Terrible looking.
Pate, that's a good way to describe it.
Right. Mm-hmm. I'm going to leave these images up on the screen here as we continue for now. But let's go ahead and move on to the actual sauce that we are going to be trying tonight. And Tori, why don't you go ahead and lead us off with the name of this sauce?
Oh, okay. This is called Daddies sauce. One thing that I noticed that is interesting, it's lacking the apostrophe. In this.
So it's like multiple daddies.
I suppose so.
The sauce
not
from
unless there's like
daddies.
a Robert Daddy or a James Daddy running around, or Daddies, I suppose.
Right.
But yeah, so there's no apostrophe. So it doesn't belong to any one particular daddy.
Interesting.
Yeah. I thought it was wild.
The sauce does not belong to daddies. It is made of daddies or from daddies.
Possibly.
Yes.
Good, yeah. That's a good observation.
But only the favorite ones.
My dad is kind of as we mentioned before, we've talked about him before on the podcast. He's kind of a grizzled old man, and he was an iron worker for many years, a welder, etc. Works outside, and is kind of just a crusty dude in general. And I have to imagine that if you, at the end of a long day, if you kind of squeegeed him off, this is essentially what would come off of him. That color and texture, kind of that.
Wow.
That's what I would think it would be. Something in that nature.
Wow, boy. I'm sure people will line up to try it after that.
Did you say squeegeed him off?
Yeah, squeegeed my dad off.
What does that mean? Does that mean like putting him into a food processor? Or?
Oh, no. Like wiped him down. Like wiped all the liquid off of him.
Right. It's like a sponge.
Yeah, like you'd squeegee a window. Yeah, right.
Okay, that's reassuring. Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
I mean, I suppose the flavor might be quite similar as well. It's very pickled. Makes any food taste
Yeah.
Yeah, no question.
Do you want to go ahead and give us a quick breakdown of the outside of the packaging, what we're looking at there?
Sure. I mean, I feel like Tori barely got the name out. He said it's a Daddies. I didn't say, I actually have a question.
Is this your first time on the show? Or
Tori can chime in. That's fine.
It's Daddy's favorite brown sauce. Is actually, I don't think we actually finished saying what it was.
Okay. But, give it back to Tori. Start back over.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe I just missed it. And so I actually have a question for you, Allie. Is it Daddy's or is it Daddy's favorite? Like, because I think that's the whole title is actually Daddy's favorite, and then the type of sauce is below that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's just Daddy's.
There is a ketchup variation which I almost purchased this morning whilst rummaging at Iceland, and I think Daddy's favorite is the brown sauce, and I don't think I noticed the favorite on the tomato ketchup. So I think it's specifically the brown sauce that is Daddy's favorite.
Daddy doesn't care for the ketchup as much, from what it sounds like.
It's his second favorite.
Yeah.
It's the red-headed stepchild, if you will.
Wow. How fitting.
The stepchild, man.
To his brown baby. Where'd you say you were shopping at, Allie? In Iceland?
Iceland, yeah. Not the country. There's a shop in England where they sell a bunch of frozen products, and they also sell extra little bits on the side.
Oh, that's charming. Yeah, Iceland, because frozen stuff. That makes sense.
Yeah,
that's
it's clever
cool.
name, actually. I have to admit, I like that.
I wonder what the equivalent to that would be here. I don't know. There's usually our dollar stores that we have here don't usually have frozen items, but that's kind of what I'm picturing in my mind.
Right, they don't often sell frozen items in America.
It seems like the dollar stores now are hopping on that train more so than like 5 years ago.
So for, you've never been to America, right, Allie?
Never, no.
Okay. So most of our grocery stores here are kind of like these behemoths. Like they kind of have, every store is slowly evolving into like a mega store like Walmart is. If you've ever seen pictures, or I don't know, you guys may even have Walmart over there. I'm not culturally versed enough to know that, but
we don't. No.
Oh, okay. Well, they're the bottom line is that they started off as like a grocery store where they had your typical like produce and dry goods, cereals, etc., and frozen items as well. And then they've slowly begun to where every store now sells, clothing and cat food and dog food, and they've got so even your basic grocery store in the United States is pretty typically, unless it's like a really tiny mom and pop place, they have everything there. And
right.
The smallest version of that is kind of like a dollar store is what we call it. And those smaller stores don't usually have a frozen section, but as Tori mentioned, that's kind of becoming increasingly common. But if you go to like a normal grocery store, they all have frozen sections. But we don't have any stores that are just like frozen goods, I don't think.
That's fascinating.
I think it's accurate.
Because so many supermarkets in England have frozen goods, like there's an entire section dedicated to frozen goods.
Oh yeah, no, we have frozen sections in our grocery stores, but
right.
Like I said, it's maybe like one or two aisles of something that could have, I don't know, 20, 30 aisles maybe. Right? Is that accurate, Tori, you'd say?
I would say so. Yeah. Usually found in the center of the supermarket.
Right.
Because I watch guys' grocery games because I'm a pro at grocery stores now.
Right.
I'm up to speed on grocery and grocery related things.
Never know. You could be the master of it by the end of this.
Oh boy, yeah. Getting a real education watching guys' grocery games.
Grocery consultant.
So yeah. So that's interesting that you said that. So actually Daddies is in fact the brand, and the favorite is just unique to this brown sauce. So that's cool. It's a squeezy kind of bottle. It's 400 grams, which I think is somewhere around 13 or 14 ounces, I would say.
400 grams? Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
So the sauce has a blue background to it with a like blue and white ribbon running down the front of it. We've got a thumbs up, which I really like, with a ring around the thumbs up that says full of flavor. So it's an interesting little, maybe gimmicky kind of a grab, but it's tension getting. I kind of like it.
The thumbs up seal of approval.
Yeah.
It's kind of a simple logo, which I like. It's not overdone, which I think is kind of cool.
Right. Daddies and favorite are done in a yellow text, and then the brown sauce is in a red text underneath that. And it's got a white squeezy top to it that works just as you would expect it to.
Yeah, has that one-way valve at the top for those types of squeeze bottles. I like that. If you notice that little silicone rubber with the X cut into it there.
Yeah, it's perfect.
I think that's pretty cool. The shape of the bottle itself is different from anything I've ever seen here in the States.
Yeah, it is distinct.
That definitely stands out. I think it's neat.
I almost think it looks similar to our ketchup squeeze bottles, just maybe a little bit slimmer. I don't think it's
which makes it unique, dude.
Okay.
It is similar, but it's not exactly the same, I don't think.
It's a Heinz 57 bottle on a diet, huh?
There you go.
Tori, do you want to give us a little breakdown of kind of like the texture, like with what the sauce looks like just visually from the outside?
Well, yeah, I mean, at first glance, it has a sheen to it. It sort of reflects, or if refracts, or whatever. But if you look at it, you can't see yourself in it.
Right.
You can't see how pretty I am. But I can see the light, reflecting off of it there. It seems to cling to the side of the Dixie cup rather well. I mean, this has been sitting here, complacent for at least 10 or so minutes, and I still have adequate stick on the side of my cup here. The texture itself is homogenized. As it thins out, you can't really see any maybe very, very small particles. But for the most part, it's just, it looks like a shiny, globular gravy.
Yeah, it is that deep brown color, almost like a barbecue sauce color, as we had mentioned. That's actually what I thought it was at first. But I'm interested, Allie, is this a sauce that you've had a lot of like exposure to? Is this like something from your childhood, or like what other things interested you in this sauce to do this?
To the horror of most British people, I am not very well versed with brown sauce at all. I think I've tried it a few times with HP sauce. I think that's brown sauce also. But yeah, before this morning, I had never purchased a bottle myself, and of course the ones that I sent to you.
Wow.
So
Okay.
a totally new experience to me. I agree with what you're saying. It's very, very globular. I had it with an egg and sausage bun, or a butty, as they say in England. And it made it taste like each item of food had been pickled because it's so vinegary, which at first it made me feel a bit sort of like backing away from it, like a little bit disgusted. And then I sort of grew into it, and the zesty vinegar of it, not zesty, the vinegary spice kicked in, and I think I'm in love with it.
I have to admit the globulous nature of it, the way it's sticking to the sides of our little Dixie cups here that we have that we're trying these with. I have a toothpick, and I put the toothpick into the cup, and it's glued to the side.
Yes, it is.
It's actually holding the toothpick up.
I like that experiment.
It does seem sticky to me, like it does. I did notice that about it.
I guess maybe there's just like a sugar content to it or something that's actually causing it maybe to, I don't know, maybe adhere
Definitely
or have
could.
a certain, like you said, stickiness to it. Interesting.
That's fascinating. Are there any ingredients listed that could possibly cause such a stickiness?
I think that there probably are.
Sure, we will get to the. Oh yes, definitely.
Go ahead, Eric. Give us a quick rundown on the ingredients.
All right, so this has spirit vinegar, which is something maybe we should look up. I'm not
Spirit
sure.
vinegar?
Yeah.
Malt. Got to be malt.
I would think, yeah. I would think so.
Is that what it is, Allie? You ever heard of spirit vinegar?
From what I know of spirit vinegar, it's like spirit, like alcohol. I don't know much about vinegar myself.
Oh, we don't have anything that we would call spirit vinegar here.
Well, we have white wine vinegar
right,
here.
They call it out specifically, yeah.
So maybe
we have white wine vinegar. We also have balsamic vinegar, which is, I'm pretty sure, what they usually use at fish and chip shops.
Sure.
Never heard of spirit vinegar.
Yeah, I never heard of spirit vinegar either. I was just...
Spooky.
It was really interesting. So we also have water, molasses, glucose, fructose syrup, which is also sticky. And of course, so is molasses. Malt vinegar from barley, it specifies. Modified corn flour, sugar, dates. That's super interesting.
Huh.
Rye flour, salt, spices, and flavorings. So yeah, one of our more defined ingredient list from the couple sauces that we tried that were from Paris or from Ireland.
Very simple ingredients.
Yeah, we were kidding around that they don't have to put ingredients on the back. They're very minimal ingredients. They don't really say. So
one other key thing, right under the ingredients. Did you touch on that yet? What it says directly under the ingredients?
Full of flavor.
Make no mistake, it is full of flavor.
That's very true. I might grab my bottle of sauce and have a little taste test again, if that's all right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, please do.
And right underneath that, it says shake well before use, which we didn't do.
I'm back. Sorry about that.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I kind of wanted to ask you, Allie, a little bit more about, as you had mentioned, out in the United Kingdom there, brown sauce is kind of like a staple. And is this... can you tell us a little bit more about that? Just because that's something that I'm kind of like, what do people typically use this on? We tried this tonight on chicken nuggets, but I'm curious how, close we were to, I don't know, accuracy with that.
Eggs. Definitely eggs. My girlfriend recommended that I try it on eggs.
Okay.
And I've heard that it has been used on steak also as a staple thing. But other than that, I don't know too much about this sauce other than... My stepdad would often recommend it to me when I'd ask for a sauce that had a kick to it.
Oh.
And I rarely accepted.
Okay. Yeah, I would say it definitely has some kick to it. I think it's, Tori and I were talking, we think it would be really good on something like a meatball, something that's kind of rich and savory like that. Maybe a little like greasiness to it, because I think vinegar would kind of help to cut that a little bit.
Yeah, a nice soft cheese, maybe like a provolone or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, with the cheese. I can imagine that.
Yeah, that would be good.
Definitely. I'm trying it with a banana right now.
What?
Yeah. Because the banana's so plain, it gives something to chew with it.
Huh.
Wow,
that is...
I quite like it.
Savage.
Yeah, that is...
I used quite a bit, and that has got a kick. Hit the back of my throat.
I can honestly say I never would have thought to try this on a banana.
Whoa. Blow me away.
Neither would I, but... I rushed whilst I was in the kitchen, lopped off the end of a banana, and yeah, I like it. I really like this sauce.
Huh. Yeah, it's good.
It's such a kick. I can't figure it out because it's not just vinegar. There's extra stuff to it. It might be the dates.
Right, yeah.
That lovely sweetness.
That's exactly what I was gonna mention was that, well, Eric, what were your thoughts on kind of like the tasting notes that you were detecting?
Yeah, I'll be happy to share. So, this sauce, initially the smell is very much vinegar. It really comes across as quite pungent, I thought, but in a fairly decent way. I don't know, it was slightly off-putting. I think you kind of mentioned yourself how like the vinegar was, it kind of, your taste notes were like, oh, you weren't sure about it, but then it grew on you.
Very much so. Yeah.
So yeah, immediately you taste vinegar and then has a wonderful tanginess to it and a little sweetness to it, and it does grow. I have to admit, I think the more I had, the more I thought, oh yeah, I do like this. I think I want more. And then I have some visual notes on it. The as it spread out and clung to the sides of the Dixie cup, it had some black specks to it, which I thought was interesting. I wasn't sure if there was a little spice to it. It does have actually a little kick, I thought, to it, and I wouldn't really say heat, but it did have a almost like spicy, maybe peppery kind of zing to it.
Yeah,
kind of built up. So it's good though.
Yes,
and it's thick.
I can taste it,
and I think it'd be really good on meatballs. That's my notes.
Wow.
All right. How about you, Tori?
Well done. Yeah, I mean, I think the meatball thing would be a home run. I think that would be just terrific. I think you got a nice loaf of bread. That would be the bee's knees. I want to agree with everything you said. I thought there was a pepperiness. I'm going to sound like you here, extra fancy. There was a certain level of depth, I thought, to the flavor, where the vinegar sort of pinched you right off the bat, and then it's sort of, I don't want to say it mild, it got milder from there, but it was different. Yeah, it was good. I liked it a whole hell of a lot. Yeah, the flecks were there. It was, it's a shame it doesn't catch on here in the States, as I think it would be a hit, unless
I definitely would be a hit.
I do think people would like this, and I think, when I first tasted it, I was expecting, visually at least, my mind had prepared me for like a barbecue sauce, and I got a little bit of those notes up front, from the pepper and from the vinegar, as you had mentioned. But after tasting it, what it reminds me more of is more like a McDonald's sweet and sour sauce on steroids, like amped up to 11. Because they have that sweet and sour sauce, which I think this is a lot of the similar flavors, like that vinegar and the sweetness. But they, like you said, it's got kick, whereas the McDonald's sweet and sour really doesn't. I think this is, like a Superman version of that.
Yeah, actually, I misspoke earlier when I was talking about the squeezy nature of the bottle. I called it a Heinz 57, where I really meant to say the Heinz ketchup bottle.
Right.
But, it has that same reminiscent tang of Heinz 57, which is why I had it in my mind. And yeah, but I think I actually like it better. There's like a mellowness to it, and I think it's the fruitiness of the molasses and the dates that actually,
yes,
it has that tang of Heinz 57, but then it has a deeper complexity and a smoother sweetness to it that the Heinz 57 sauce that we actually did, I forget which episode that was, but it kind of just leaves you, the Heinz 57 really just like punches you. It doesn't have that extra sweetness to it. It's just kind of, it almost dries your mouth out and wants you to go back for more, where this one allows you to kind of savor a little more savory with this brown sauce.
I do think you get some of that sweetness, but it's more of like that fruity sweetness to it, and I think that is from the dates. That's what I was getting, definitely. But no, it's quite, I thought it was quite good. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was an excellent choice.
I also find it interesting that they specifically call out malt vinegar from barley and rye flour. So I wonder what that does to the flavor profile on this. I think rye bread has a certain kind of spiciness and zing to it that other bread doesn't.
Definitely a zing.
So to use a rye flour, that's a really interesting choice, I think, and for them to actually call it out on the bottle. Neat.
I assume McDonald's is a thing out there. Are you a frequenter of McDonald's, Allie?
I'm not myself, no, but I have been there quite a few times. And I can see what you mean about, I haven't tried the McDonald's sweet and sour sauce, but from Chinese takeaways and such, I can see that. It definitely has the sweet, the sour element from the vinegar, and a hell of a kick. I also noticed, after he was saying about the rye, it definitely has a sort of like a whole grain sort of taste to it. It's not like white bread.
Yeah.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's,
I suppose, sort of like whiskey. It's got that sort of wheaty.
Good call.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a good point. I noticed that looking at the bottle here, it says made in Poland. And actually, it says made in Poland by HP foods, and then under that it says London. Do you say HP or HP, Allie?
HP without I've always been taught that there is no H at the beginning of H. It's
Okay.
British
All right,
thing,
very
I think.
good. Because I've heard, and we were just kind of discussing accents before, but I've heard people. What do you guys eyeball me for?
I'm
I didn't even
lost in the
catch up on
sauce.
it,
I
yeah.
don't even know what you're talking about.
Well, I don't understand what you're talking about. I didn't ever notice the subtle linguistics between H and H. Like,
Oh, really?
yeah.
Okay.
That's
I don't
subtle.
Yeah, Tori, for the listeners, Tori and Eric just gave me the wildest look, like I had just transformed into a fucking Godzilla or something over here. They were very startled when I made a very slight, I thought, distinction between accents, but
Oh, rock on, man. I'll learn something, I guess.
Hey, Allie picked up on it. You knew exactly what he was talking about, apparently. So
yeah, I mean, I've heard
Yeah.
people from not United Kingdom or other, me being an ignorant American, I'm not sure exactly where that accent originated from, but I have definitely heard people say in what sounded to me like a British accent, HP or H in general.
There are a lot of people in the UK that say H. It's just because of the way that I've been raised. My stepfather's a grammar Nazi, so he'll correct me on all the little nuances of speech. So it had to be H.
We're learning all kinds of stuff today. We're becoming multicultural now.
Oh, fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, so was there anything else flavor-wise or anything you wanted to cover? Anything else, any other weird stuff?
Yeah, I mean, if I were to put it in a closest thing I could to something that is readily available here in the States, I'm probably thinking an A1, I think.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
See, I was getting... To me, the A1 has more of like those savory tones, more of the salty savory, and less of like the sweet and vinegary. Vinegary
yeah.
definitely still, I think, too, but...
it has vinegar. I always think A1 has got more peppery and more spice to it, too.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely gets a lot of its flavor from Worcestershire sauce. So...
And that's not in this, right?
I don't believe
That's
so.
not
Yeah, this has molasses in it, and a high fructose, or glucose.
Glucose fructose syrup is what it says, which, if you recall from one of our most recent episodes, Laos golden syrup. Have you ever had this, Allie, Laos golden syrup?
Yes. Oh my god. Incredible. We have a tin of it.
Oh,
So
Isn't
good.
that a good syrup?
So good.
that was something that you didn't actually send us, but we just recently did that. I think it may have been our last episode we just did. It was something that Eric got from actually a local shop here, and we had never heard of it, seen of it, nothing like that before, but we tried that, and I think we rated it very highly.
We did. A local specialty shop, we should clarify. It really was, imported goods from from Ireland and UK, which, again, I'm not entirely sure we actually had that right. I think it's actually made in the UK, not in Ireland, but the shop I went to was an Irish themed shop, so I immediately just assumed it was from Ireland.
Well, I think we're getting into dangerous territory here, too, because if I'm not mistaken, there are certain parts of what we as Americans, I think, would clump as Ireland. Like, is Northern Ireland part of the United Kingdom and Ireland is not? Is that the distinction?
That's exactly it. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I knew there was something tricky like that, but I'm always a little bit uncomfortable with what to call that general area, because I think a lot of Americans want to say England or Britain, and I generally default to UK, but I know that there's various classifications for what little territories are kind of included in those words, and I always get a little nervous.
Right. Yes. No, nothing to worry about. It. Yes. The Northern Ireland area is separate. I think there was some sort. It might have been due to terrorism. Hopefully, no connection to E.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, quite possibly. He is a redheaded chap, so I mean that's quite possible that he hails from that region. He's not admitting to anything right now.
I'm
so
not going
he's
to admit to anything.
He's not confirming nor denying. So
He's dabbling in car bombs now.
Jesus.
yeah.
Enough knowledge to be dangerous. That's right.
I was wondering what the IRA tattoo on your back of your neck stood for. That makes a lot more sense now. But no, is the whole region there collectively referred to as the British Isles? Is that the right way to refer to that whole region?
I believe so.
Oh, okay.
I don't know too much about the countries myself. I've lived there for 10 years. I should know. But
oh, okay.
Well, back to the Laos golden syrup. I'm really curious. Do you you say you tried it before, but is it like a regular? I kind of anticipate this being maybe like a replacement for honey. Like, is this what you put in your tea over there? Is that like do you see that more commonly than honey?
Ooh, honey in tea sounds delicious. I don't often eat sugar, so I don't use the golden syrup too much, but if I was to use it, I'd usually use it on pancakes.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we tried it on some waffles and
Vanilla ice cream.
vanilla ice cream.
Yes,
That's right.
Yes.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah, we really enjoyed it on both of those. So that's neat. That's also something that you've heard of as well.
Yes, yeah, I've heard of it. We have a tin of it that's been sat there for years and years, probably at least 5-6 years in my cupboard in where my home is, at my parents' home.
Oh, that's interesting. So you actually got the tin of it then?
Yes. Oh, do you have a squeezy bottle?
Yeah, we
do.
got ours in a little squeezy bottle, and then we were looking online and we discovered that it comes in a couple different sizes of tins, and we had a couple questions on the tins actually that you can probably answer. How do you open them? Is it something you need like a can opener for, or do you just kind of pry the top off like a paint can?
It's exactly that. Yes, a paint can. It's the only tin I've ever seen that uses that type of a system other than metal paint cans. So you'd have to get a bit of so there's a ridge that goes up to the top, and then it sort of ducks down a little bit, and then that's where the lid starts.
Okay.
So it's not on the edge. It doesn't like encase the outer edge. So you'd have to get a butter knife, wedge it in, and use it like a crowbar to lift it off.
Now, my main question about that, my main concern, and we had mentioned this in our episode, was that I'm someone that really, I can't stand having like sticky things on my hands or fingers. So I was imagining having to close that can back up. And I know like with a paint can, you have to hammer the lid back on. And I was imagining the sticky sauce just splattering all over the kitchen. Is that a problem that occurs?
Especially when I'm using it, yes. Yeah. I'm a very clumsy person.
Yeah, that particular part sounds like a nightmare to me. The idea of getting it in a tin, I think, sounds charming, but the idea of hammering the sauce, the sticky syrup all over the house sounds like a true nightmare. So I wouldn't like that part.
Yeah.
And then you spoon it out from there. Once you get it open, you spoon it out, or do you like pour it out?
I usually spoon it out. Although I think I have been tempted. I think I have poured it out in the past as well. But that ends up causing the syrup to sort of trickle over the edge of it.
Oh, you get a mess. Okay.
That's not what I want.
Adds to the mess, for sure.
Yeah, that's not ideal. Definitely not. Okay.
Have you had maple syrup, Allie?
I have. Yes.
Okay, I know that's a big, like, in our region, especially like in Canada, that's one thing that they're really known for is maple syrup. So I didn't know, since you mentioned that you use the golden syrup on pancakes, I didn't know if that was something that you had, like a choice between a couple of different syrups, or like here in America, maple syrup, either authentic maple syrup or high fructose corn syrup flavored like maple is the default for like a pancake. We don't have this golden syrup at all.
Right. That has 100% drifted over to England. I think it's more common to use maple syrup with pancakes than it is golden syrup.
Okay.
What a tragedy.
Yeah,
that golden syrup's amazing.
Tragedy.
I think we all like the golden syrup better. I mean, I definitely like it better than the fake maple syrup.
Wow.
Authentic maple syrup is pretty good, but I definitely like to have the choice of either or, because they're both pretty good, pretty delightful, I think.
Man. It's a good thing for maple syrup that this golden syrup didn't catch on, because I think golden syrup would wipe the floor with maple syrup.
Wow. Okay, that's a hard stance right there. You're going to have some angry Canucks coming after you, Tony.
I don't know, man. I mean, that was just over the top good.
You live dangerously close to Canada to be saying things like that.
Just clean as clock. I'll double down on it.
Wow. Well, Canadians are famously polite, so they probably won't cause you any physical harm.
Not to be taken personally.
They're taking it personally.
Well,
it's in their
that
blood.
sounds like a personal problem.
Okay. Wow. Well, before Tori starts a war with our
international incident.
Yeah, with our northernly neighbors, why don't we go ahead and I'll let Eric lead this off with a rating for this sauce here.
Boy, I really like it. I like it definitely more than ketchup, so it has to be over a 5. I think I'm going to have to rate this I'm going to go with 7.5. So,
okay.
It's is really good, and I think maybe I'm leaving room there for us to try this in the future on some red meat, and then maybe it could get even higher. So, but I think 7.5 seems appropriate for trying it on its own, and trying it on the breaded chicken nuggets that we tried this evening. So, with that, Tori, let us know what you think.
Sure. Yeah, most definitely. I was very pleasantly surprised. It's fit relatively well within the expectations that I had for it. Yeah, I thought it was really good. The punch of vinegar was different. There's probably a reason why this isn't in the American market. I don't think a lot of American palates would like that really upfront vinegar pinch. I don't know.
You could be right.
That would be my estimation. But hey, it certainly did a world of good for this American. So yeah, I liked it a lot. Allie, thanks for sending it over. It was a real treat, of course. It's gonna be a good snowman. We're gonna do an 8 today. Allie?
After testing it with the banana and completely plain on its own, because the flavor was a bit washed away with the egg and the bun, I might knock it up a notch to a 9 and have this sauce more often.
Wow.
Wow.
Very good.
Awesome.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm going to feel bad now. I might give it the lowest rating. I thought I was going to give it a good rating, but yeah, for me personally, like you had mentioned, Tori, I think that this is maybe a bit bold for the American audience, and I think maybe, like we were talking earlier about, McDonald's has that sweet and sour sauce, and I have to imagine they've done some pretty extensive market research into this type of thing, and they really know their audience well, and I think that for the American palate, they probably decided that going more on the sweet and less on that kind of like sourness, that was probably more palatable to most people. But
100%.
As you had mentioned, Tori, I do think that they are doing a little bit of a disservice by not providing this as an alternative, because there are people that like more of that vinegar kick. I know me, my girlfriend particularly, she loves that strong vinegar kick, and I think that both of us would prefer something like this over that. That being said, I think I'm going to come in with a 7. And I know that was a little bit low from some of you guys, but, I'm looking at it as like, it's got a lot of the similar kind of like flavor profile notes as like a ketchup, just in like a different balance, if that makes sense. Ketchup has a lot of the same flavors, like the sweetness and the sugar and the salt and the vinegar. But this, I think they kind of play up the ratio a little bit more. So the actual vinegar is more prevalent, and like the saltiness and the tomatoiness are a little more toned down. But other than that, I think it's kind of in that same range. So I think that, if we're calling Heinz ketchup a 5, I think giving it as a 7 is a pretty fair, I think that's a compliment.
Yeah.
So
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, yeah, totally fair. I liked your market research there that you're, hypothesizing about there. I think it's interesting that you could use alcohol as a segue into trends. And so the beer trend is currently sour ales and whatnot. I wonder if we aren't going to see a more shift in an American flavoring towards more sour and more vinegar-based foods, or as we also brought up earlier this week, just outside of the podcast, kimchi is, a particularly pungent vinegar food that a lot of Americans maybe don't care for right now, but is certainly a thing that's an up-and-coming food for the U.S.
I know a lot of German fare uses a lot of vinegar.
That's true.
Yeah.
You can go to the local grocery stores around here and just buy kimchi off the shelf now, pretty much like a bottled version. Have you ever had that, Allie? Kimchi?
I haven't. No, I've never heard of it. Well, I've heard of it, but I've never tried it, no.
Okay.
Before we were recording, you mentioned to me that you work on 3D modeling.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you have any thoughts on, you might have mentioned this before in the episode, but I was wondering if you have any thoughts on the shape of the bottle and anything that could be improved for ease of use.
That's a good question.
Yeah, right.
That's a good question. Boy, I really, actually, so as I called it very similar to the style of bottles that we have here in the U.S., but thinned down, I think it does make it easier to hold because it's not so wide. You can easily grab the bottle across the width of it, but of course I have smaller hands than the average male American.
Eric's baby hands.
Yes, baby hands here. But
famously call him Baby Hands E, his gangster name.
It's I don't think it really needs any more ribbing to it or whatnot. That's something that you could add to your...
For people's pleasure, they could add the ribbing.
Wow. No, I wasn't going with that. It just gives you some more structural strength there, Adam. From an engineering standpoint, maybe on the actual sides...
That the mommy sauce is ribbed.
The skinny sides could be like a deeper... groove, and that would give it more structural strength actually as I'm squeezing it in the one direction. But I don't know, and that would also just give it actually like little like handles. So maybe that'd be my one.
Tori's still rolling his eyes at me over there.
I just tend to ignore him.
You're trying to power through. I know you're doing a valiant job.
Yeah, that would actually be like a neat little improvement to just make a divot on either side. Then it would also give you like an extra spot to grip. So that'd be kind of cool.
Yes, I can definitely imagine that. That's really cool. Definitely something I wouldn't have thought of.
Cool.
I've done some mold design work and whatnot as well in my day. I've made some concrete molds. I've done fiberglass molds. I've never actually done any modeling for a
ad agency.
Plastic. What is this called?
Hand modeling.
This is a blown. It's not blown. What is it? It's extruded. Extruded?
Oh boy, we're getting real into the weeds for our listeners. They're loving this. Tell us about the extrusion qualities, Eric.
Yeah, the extruded plastic. I forget. There's the injection molding. That's what this is. It's injection molded plastic. That's
right.
It's a part of my schooling that I did go to. I took a class in materials and processes, so I know a little bit about it, but I'm definitely no expert when it comes to plastics and the molding form. But
do you think by the end of or maybe not even by the end, when you get to like hundreds of recordings of this podcast, you might have like an in-depth knowledge of bottle shapes and such. You could be the Elon Musk of revolutionizing bottles.
The Elon Musk.
I like it. I think it's certainly something that I should be thinking about and maybe have been subconsciously, but you're bringing it, forefront here. Something I'll have to pay attention to from here on out.
We could start sending sauce to Mars. How about that?
I'm excited. I'm excited for that helicopter to take off.
Yeah, me too. But no, this was really cool, really fun having you on. Our first international guest, and I think we all really enjoyed it. And I know we certainly appreciated the sauces you sent us. I think we're going to do those for some follow-up episodes here soon, so you have to stay tuned to that. But
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was really cool. But I think that's pretty much going to do it for this episode on Daddy's favorite brown sauce. And with that, Eric, do you have any closing thoughts you'd like to leave us with?
Uh-oh.
Well, I'll say it's, this may not be our favorite of sauces, but it's certainly ranked pretty high. So I will have to say
it's going to be up there.
Yeah. And our show in general is growing, which is great. And so I think people should be liking us and sharing us and tell your friends about us. So, Tori, what do you think?
Killed it. As usual, E. Good work. Well, first and foremost, I think it should be mentioned again for those who are unclear that our man Ollie ate that on a banana. Dude, I mean, that is savagery. That's ridiculous. I mean, you're out of hand with that. But yeah, so I think that should be absolutely mentioned and appreciated accordingly. So
that's how committed to this podcast he was.
Yeah,
he was more committed than us. If all we had here was bananas, I would have said we're waiting until next week to do the podcast.
Yeah, let's get on to the story and get some chicken. So hats off to you, my man. I think that is a showing of just how real and just how savage you are. So thank you for that.
You're most welcome.
But now we're yeah, most definitely. But to the final thought, we had Daddy's sauce today. So even though we came to the conclusion it's not necessarily a particular Daddy's favorite, but hey, let's keep in mind our parents, our mommies, and our daddies. And if you're in a position where you have a good relationship with them, hey, give your parents a call. I'm sure that they would love to hear from you. I'm sure they'd love to talk with you. And yeah, so call your dang mom.
For the listeners that don't know, my mom called in the middle of recording, and I had a very awkward moment where I wasn't sure if I should cut off our guest if it was something urgent and interrupt our guest and call my mom back, and I just let the phone decide I made no choice, which is making a choice in its own. I just let it I let it ring until it finally ended. So
Yeah.
my poor mother.
But yeah, so I guess in wrapping up, no one will love you like your mommy and your daddy will love you. So go ahead and give those folks a call. I'm sure they'd love to hear from you. So that's my final thought. And I mean, yeah, go ahead. That'll do it for me. You have anything to share, my friend?
Yeah, please. What I was going to say, Ali, please make sure you give us, tell the listeners where they can find your show at, what kind of social media platforms you use, where they should listen to you so they can find you and check you out.
Yeah, plug the hell out of it.
Oh, okay, sure. Well, there is the famous dessert, an eaten mess. So if you keep that in mind and switch it over to a spoken mess and type that into Instagram, YouTube, well, you'll find me there. 32 podcasts, I think. 33. Could I also say one last thing?
Absolutely. Please do.
Thank you guys so much for being the captains of this ship on the river of podcasting. Because usually I have to sort of like lead it. And it was so nice that you guys really smoothly went from one subject to another, picking it up. It was just such a fantastic experience, a new experience for me. So thank you.
Oh, that's really cool.
Fabulous.
That's an interesting perspective. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that being on the other end of things. Well, that's really cool. And like I said, obviously, we really appreciate having you come on. I know we've been kind of wanting to get this scheduled for a while, and we're afraid of some technical difficulties. Like I said, this is the first time we've done this, but it seems to have gone pretty well, and I think we all had fun, and I think we learned something too, which was kind of cool.
Definitely.
I learned a lot. It was so exciting. I wish we had more time to actually talk about just, how life is over there in the UK versus here in the US. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool stuff. All right. Well, with that being said, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next week.
Oh, bad news is we're at the end of the show here. But hey, the good news is that we have several other episodes that keep you entertained. And while you're at it, send us an email, saucespoken@gmail.com. If you've had enough of listening to us and like to see us, you can do that too. You can stop over on our Instagram page. It's Sauce Spoken Official. If you wish to get down into the nitty-gritty, we welcome you to do so, and you could probably do that on the website. That's going to be saucespoken.wordpress.com. We have some show notes there. We keep track of the various ratings we give them over the episodes there, so if you wish to dig into the details, that's a great place to do it. In the event some unthinkable calamity, your favorite listening provider is not available, you can fire us up on YouTube. And of course, we'll be out here rattling our empty mayonnaise and mustard jars. If you'd like to donate to us, you certainly can. We are at PayPal, at Sauce Spoken. We'll give you a little jingle jangle, maybe a wink and a smile on your way out. Keep in mind, we have stickers available for you. Slap them any which where you like, but they're available to you. If you'd like one, let us know. We'd be happy to send you one. And finally, we have a proprietary cryptocurrency out here. It's what's called Sauce Stoken. We have some details on it on the website. As we close here today, of course, we're going to ask you, please share us with a family member, share us with a friend. Hey, if you're enjoying it, I'm certain they would too. If you could, follow us, give us a rating or a review on that listening platform of your choice. Thank you for listening, and this is Sauce Spoken.